Hey y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden, and today we're just going to take you guys for a walking tour through my new shade garden because there's so many beautiful plants that are just loving their new space. Okay, so we have gone through multiple days of torrential downpours, and we have more coming today, and I have just not gotten to be in my garden as much as I would like to. However, got me to thinking, and I was like, I haven't shown a lot in the shade garden lately, so I wanted to just really focus today and do a walking tour of the shade garden for you all. Show you the blooms, show you what's looking good, show you what's struggling, although there's really not much struggling. It's all in really good shape. But I wanted to start here at the entrance. Now, with all the torrential rains, we've had some crazy wind, which broke off part of the handle of my door. So my door is free swinging right now. And I have not gotten to the point of staining my entrance. And really, truthfully, it's just been a really busy spring in the garden. I just haven't had time. So I am hoping to get to it this summer. We're going to be staining the entrance, and then in each of these little squares, or not all of them, but a lot of them, I'm going to be hanging little teardrop or raindrop crystals through it. And once that's done, then we can begin training that America climbing garden rose up over the trellis, and we'll be doing a bunch of planting across the front, which will be really fun. That will also include a honeysuckle on this side that will climb up and over the entrance. So I'm really excited to get that going. Okay, so Jeff's going to follow me in. Now, currently the shade cloth is lower than it would usually be. I had some of y'all recommend a couple of things to me, which I'm going to give a try, but basically all the water comes down and right in the center and makes it and stretches it out. So I've got to come up with a different plan. I've gotten several different suggestions, so I need to do that. It needs a lot of strength to get it in place, so I'm going to actually have to ask Jeff to come help me out with that. But let's go ahead and start at the back of the shade garden over here by these hydrangeas over here, which are stunning. Now, these hydrangeas over here it's multiple containers in here, and these are hydrangeas that I bought after Mother's Day. I think this is their third year. After Mother's Day, they're just those pretty hydrangeas in small containers that typically everybody buys for the mom, and then they die, and then the mom like moves on, you know, and we get rid of them. But I decided to plant mine up. I got them for, I don't know, maybe $10 each, and they are beautiful. I have no idea what kind of hydrangea these are. No idea whatsoever. I think that this might have been what they call a super white. Very, very pretty. Now these get almost all shade all day. These back here, it's really hard to tell, but they actually have a touch of pale blue on them. But my soil is just not as acidic, I believe, which is why they look mostly white. And then I have some beautiful kind of red pink ones coming in as well that are just absolutely stunning. And of course we got more rain this morning, so these are all covered in rain. So now back here I've got one that's not doing great, but that's okay, because I think I'm going to pull this guy out, and I think I'm going to put a Japanese maple right here that kind of comes up and kind of towers over the hydrangeas. I think that would look really, really good. I've got a red pink one back here that's struggling. He's not doing as well, but hopefully in the future he'll get bigger. They are all planted at the same time, so you can see the difference. This one is so small. I think he's been harshly cut back a couple of times because I've had some issues with him. But these other ones are just lovely, beautiful, falling over the containers. You can't even see the containers. This is 2 plants. There's like one here. I think there's 2 in this container and 1 in this. And these are all set up to drip irrigation, so they get drip every day during the summer, the hottest times of the summer. And basically we're kind of at the point where I either need to harvest these blooms, or if I decide to just leave them and let them dry out, I need to cut them back at some point pretty soon so that they have time to fill in with a bunch of new growth, so that we can have new growth for next year. But I definitely think having the taller, and I want a Japanese maple that has red leaves. red leaves kind of creating a canopy over this space, I think would be absolutely stunning in here. Can you imagine that like beautiful bright red and then over these like white hydrangeas? I think it'll look really, really good. But I did want to say, I think there's 4 pots in here total. 1, 2, 3, 4 pots in here total. I really like it. This area has turned out really, really nice. These hydrangeas used to be on my back patio and they were fine. Since we put them back here for the shade garden, they are ridiculously stunning. Absolutely love them and very happy with them in their space. Okay, so this over here is my 3-tiered trellis that I planted up with begonias. And it's a mixture of begonias. It's begonias that I got are tuberous begonias from Proven Winners and begonias that I've grown from seed. And I'll put up a comparison picture of when I first planted this compared to where it is now because it is beautiful. I had also tucked in some Swedish ivy, which is spilling over the edges. I am obsessed and in love with the look of this design. So let's start up here. We have some beautiful pink blooms, and Jeff, you will need to come in a little bit closer for these. Not super close, but a little bit closer. These are pink petticoats by Proven Winners. Absolutely beautiful, and these are smaller. I've had a lot of bigger blooms. This guy right here, I believe I grew this one from seed, and I believe it's from a mix. So I don't recall what variety that is because I don't see it back there. I believe this one was grown from seed. I'll look it up and see if I can find it, and if I can, but I believe it's from a mix. And then over here, this will be a little bit harder for you to get in here, sweetie. This little yellow bloom. This is a nonstop yellow tuberous begonia right there. And that's one of the Proven Winners ones. You get that tucked in a little bit better. I don't want to lose my tags on these. Absolutely gorgeous, very exciting. Now I did grow a bunch of begonias, tuberous begonias from seed. And I would say I only got about 10% germination, not very much. But the ones I did get, I'm very happy with. And it was a fun process, even though a lot of them failed. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to be lifting all of these tubers in the fall. And I'm going to be lifting and storing them inside so that I can replant them in the spring. And that's because in my area, begonias don't act as necessarily a perennial. In my area, it gets too cold. The tubers freeze. Just doesn't work out. So I definitely think I'm going to be lifting these and trying to save these from year to year. Now, let's look at a few other varieties. Let me look over here. This one is Primrose. So this one right here is called Primrose Double Delight by Proven Winners. Sweet, beautiful flowers. It's had some really big ones too. Very sweet. I'm really into the begonias. I really love them so much. I don't recall what this variety is, but he blooms are really, really big. I think that's one of the ones that I grew from seed. Now over here you can see this waterfall of Swedish ivy. Like, I'm just obsessed with this. Look how beautiful this is, spilling all the way to the ground. I love it. Definitely going to be repeating this in the garden and the shade garden again. So I did have some additional begonias under here that aren't getting as much light, but they're still growing fine. They're just not blooming. So I'm just going to let them grow on this season, and then in the future, I will try to put them in a location where they get more light. I have an additional right here. This is a Proven Winners Double Delight Apple Blossom. Absolutely beautiful blooms. Comes in doubles and singles on the same plant. And these are kind of the smaller varieties that we've had this year so far, or the smaller blooms. There were a lot larger blooms earlier in the year. This right here is another begonia. He's kind of fallen over with all the weather. I believe this is an apricot variety that I grew from seed. Or it might also be tuber. I might have grown it from tuber too. Absolutely stunning. Like y'all, I'm obsessed with begonias. I actually have some more begonia tubers coming my way. So, and look how pretty the bloom is closed. Like this is it closed. It's like a clamshell. And look at these frayed edges. Deckled. That's what they're called. Deckled edges. Absolutely beautiful. And this little thing turns into this. Absolutely. I'm obsessed with the begonias. They have been my absolute delight this year in the shade garden. Every time I come out here, there's more blooms, more and more and more blooms. And the blooms don't last forever. And truthfully, we get a storm and it wipes a bunch of them out. Like I've got one fallen right here. Oh my gosh, Jeff, here, come look at this. Sorry, y'all. I'm just absolutely really into my begonias. This is one of the ones I grew from seed. I mean, look at the center of that. And look how big it is, y'all. And I have big man hands, y'all. I have giant hands. My hands are like 6 inches. Isn't that stunning? Yeah, this one was one of the ones grown from seed, which is really fun. I'm probably going to grow begonias from seed again. I'm still going to grow some from tuber too, but I'm probably going to try again from seed because I just had so much fun. But they have just been literally the love of my life in the shade garden. Every time I come out here, they bring me so much happiness, and I'm greeted by just these beautiful blooms and this whole look. Like I'll get Jeff to set really far back so that he can get all the way from top to bottom. And this whole corner of the garden, this is my goal for the whole shade garden. I want it to just be overdone with lots of lush, yummy greens that feel cooling and relaxing, especially in the hot, hot summer. And so far, everything's holding up really, really good for even the hot weather that we've already had, which is really, really nice. Okay, I want to show you one more begonia, and then we'll go over to some other plants. And there's more begonias throughout them, but over in this area, check out this red begonia. Isn't she lovely? So exotic looking. So, so pretty. I believe I read somewhere that you can take cuttings from begonias. So maybe after I get back from my vacation, why don't we do that? Why don't we see if we can take some cuttings from begonias and see if we can't start some? That would be super interesting. But a couple other things. The first one being this beautiful leopard plant coming across. This is the leopard plant's first year in its container. And I will put up another comparison video so you can see where it started just a few months ago. It is extremely happy. It's doing good. It has these big, gorgeous leaves. They call them tractor seat leaves because they look like the seat of a tractor. I've had something munching on them a little bit, but it hasn't been bad. It's fine. We're okay if some of the insects want to eat a little bit, because typically they're going to be beneficial and get rid of other ones. And then I've got my Swedish ivy is spilling over right here, but in this corner, which I've really got to start kind of keeping an eye on because it looks like it's kind of getting covered a little bit. I've got a couple of things that I grew. One of them, Jeff, why don't you come over here, sweetie? This is a Chablis lamium. And it's putting off its soft pink flowers, and it has this beautiful kind of silvery white variegation in it. Very soft, fragile, delicate leaves. Really, really liked it. This right here is an astilbe. I can't recall what variety. I think it might be Sunny Boy. And I grew this from root. I doubt it blooms for me this year, but hopefully next year. And then a bleeding heart back here. I don't recall which variety this is because... Oh, look at me. Okay, so that was Sunny Boy. Oh, I did put myself back here. And then this bleeding heart is old-fashioned bleeding heart Valentine. Gets to about 30 inches tall. And so typically the bleeding hearts are going to go dormant when our hot weather gets going. But this guy, we'll see how he does. And if he goes dormant, that's fine. I just need to remember not to dig him up if he goes dormant. And then one of my beautiful sculptures that I found on Facebook Marketplace. She's super sweet. She's all cracked and messed up, but I love her. But I've got her up against this pole so that she doesn't fall over onto anything. So I'm going to have Jeff move dramatically backwards towards the door. Okay, so let's look at, this is my Vigo garden that I installed. It's in a sage green color. It's holding up beautifully. Right here, I have an oak leaf hydrangea that Kristen gave to me, and I think she just dug it up out of a portion of her yard. Now, it is new. It hasn't been in the space very long, but the idea is, I'm kind of looking at its branches. I am going to grow it into a tree type of form and I want it to grow up, so mostly tree trunk right here coming up and then spill out leaves. So leaves and blooms up high here, and then it will continue to cast shade in this area. But I'm just letting it go for now since I just got it in here. It is quite the bear, right? But it has a lot of place for roots, so I'm not real stressed about it at all. And then once I do end up starting to limb it up and create more of my artistic kind of sculpture with it, I think it's going to look really, really good. Now, babe, I did forget to show them back here. This is my Bear's Britches acanthus. I think it's candle flame candle. I can't recall, but look at this variegation. I think it's called flame acanthus or something like that. Love the variegation. I'm obsessed with variegated leaves. And you can see like the older leaves have even more white on them. And it does bloom during the summer, so that'll be fun to watch it. Oh, here you go. Here's somebody hanging out eating. Got a little grasshoppers. No, that's not good, but well, we'll see. Hopefully he won't do too much damage. I don't mind some damage. I mean, it's just not reality to have a perfect garden. And truthfully, that's not my goal in life, to have a perfect garden. So it's fine. So we've got the oak leaf hydrangea tucked in here. We've got a sweet little sculpture tucked back in here. Now this I've filled with a lot of brand new plants, one of which is an additional begonia that I grew. This one, I believe, this is like a salmon coral something. This one was grown from seed. I'll put the name below. I'm going to have to do better on remembering all the names of these, but absolutely beautiful begonia from seed. Very happy with it. But also back here, I've got some hellebore tucked in. Over here, I've got, this is a pink and blue pulmonaria. And look at that variegation on the leaves. It has not bloomed for me this year, but I planted it in late spring. But imagine this coming over and spilling over once we've kind of limbed up this oak leaf hydrangea. I just love variegation. I love texture in the leaves, especially in something like the shade garden. Because if you end up doing something where you've got just all this deep dark green everywhere, it just becomes very flat. So having, some different textures and different colors throughout really helps build the integrity of the garden and really adds to just a luscious artistic approach. Now I've got several Heucheras here. Let me see if I've got the varieties. I believe that this one is a black pearl. Here I am trying to figure out where I even stuck the varieties. I believe this one is a black pearl. And I believe this one is an I Spy. And he's got some little blooms coming up. It's almost finished with blooms. But I do love the look of the leaves on these. Really, really pretty. Usually I put all my tags towards the front, but I don't see where I put those. And then this one I think is like Silver Drop. If I have them wrong, I'll go ahead and put them on the screen so you guys can see. This is their first year in their place. They're looking happy. I do have some clematis that we planted, that we started from root back here. This one right here is a Belle de Walking. And it looks like it's growing beautifully. It's made some progress. I have an additional clematis over here that's not done much of anything. It's kind of just hanging out, and the variety is, oh, here we go, Bee's Jubilee. So not doing anything. It's not really anything to show. Now right here, I do want to have Jeff come over here and see this plant right here that's going dormant. This right here is a pink bleeding heart, a traditional pink bleeding heart that I started from root, from bare root. And it is definitely going dormant. It gets more light than the other one does. So this is what it's going to do during the summer. It's going to go away. So I'm not going to really see it, but I need to make sure that I don't pull it up or dig it up, because we want to leave it here so it comes back in the spring. And then right here, I've got an additional astilbe called Choco Kiss that I started from root. Really hoping that these perennialize and do really good in my space. And then another one of those coral begonias right here that I grew from seed. And you can see my daughter's been in here. She's been setting up fairy garden stuff. She's 15 and still loves to do this. She's actually got fairy garden there. And then Jeff, let's show him over here to show him in a few different places. she came out here and she's got little fairy garden stuff tucked in there. Looks like she needs to come do a little work. The gnomes have had a rough go of it with the storms. And then down here, she's even got houses peeked all the way towards the back. And this is her favorite fairy right here. And then even down in here, she's just got all these little secret villages tucked into the garden. This is a really great way to include children in gardening, have them set fairy gardens. And she's been setting this up with me for years. And so even now, you know, at 15 and a half, she's going to be a sweet 16 this year. Even at almost 16 years old, she still loves to come out here and have really good memories with that. Now, I haven't planted as many new plants on this side of the garden. Over here, we do have a couple of hellebore, which are definitely like they're going dormant. They're tired. They're done. This right here is called I can't remember the name, but it puts off yellow blooms, and it has already bloomed this year. But you can see its new growth is this dark leaf growth right here. It starts with an L. I'll put it down below. But this isn't new to me. The goal for this plant is for it to grow up and over. It is a perennial. So I want it to grow up and over like this. I think it would be nice. And even like these plants, which isn't like a draper, it is going to get bigger and fuller and fill over the sides some. So I do want to soften the whole front edge of this garden bed over time, which I think will be really good. All right, it's so humid, y'all. Jeff and I are just like, oh, here's all the tags for those Heucheras. Let's look at those one more time then, if Jeff doesn't mind. Don't go towards the hornet, sweetie. Okay, so this one right here is black pearl. This one right here is silver gumdrop. And this one right here is Fun and Games I Spy. And here, look, I'm going to put my tags where they need to go. There we go. We're good to go. All right. So swinging back to the potting bench area. So I haven't used this area as much as I thought I would. In fact, the other day as I was arranging flowers on the back porch, I was like, why didn't I come over here and use it? So I need to put a more concerted effort to come over here and work in this space. Now, even if I don't, it's okay. For a while I didn't because we had a nest in this container right here. And since the bird, it was a mourning dove, she hatched her eggs and they've all moved on. So I didn't want to disturb her. And then I have had a lot of things like these beautiful spider webs and stuff going on, which I actually really enjoy looking at. And I do like seeing these are my little Triscantia varieties that I've tried over here. And I don't water these containers. These are all watered just by rain at this point. I will have to pay attention to them during the summer, but those are pretty drought tolerant. But I do need to do a better job with this space in regards to storage and then utilizing this space more. Even underneath, I've got plenty of room for more containers, yet for some reason I still have a whole bunch of them stacked up on my back porch. So I definitely need to take the time to move them over here and create almost like a curated display of containers and pots so that I can come over here, choose what I want, pot something up and enjoy it in the shade, which would be really, really great. Definitely have to figure out something with the shade cover. This one right here is scraping against and creating a hole in the shade cover. Definitely just haven't figured out a solution for the shade cover. And for those of you who have been watching a while, you know that this is my second one. So yeah, I'm gonna figure something out. I don't know if I want to do something like put in a post. Like I could put in a decorative post to lift up the center. I don't know. I gotta think about it. Come up with something genius and inexpensive would be the ultimate goal. I eventually want to put like a wood pergola across here, but that was just astronomically expensive. And the shade cover was just easy for the time being. So I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. All of y'all always have really good thoughts. So let me know what you're thinking. Okay, so over here I have an additional tiered planter that I planted up maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago. At the top we did the fuchsia, and when I first planted the fuchsia, it went through shock. It did not look good for a while. It is now putting on a bunch of new growth and new blooms. So we'll get Jeff to come closer so he can take a look at this. Absolutely beautiful on the fuchsia. And I love fuchsia, and I haven't really been able to grow it because I don't have like a lot of shade. But this is absolutely beautiful, and I love its kind of draping, whimsical quality. I think it looks really, really good. Right here is a variegated Swedish ivy that I put on the side, and it's grown a lot since when I first got it. And the idea is that it's going to grow over the side and spill down. I'm definitely going to be taking cuttings of my Swedish ivy and overwintering them so that I have them for next spring. I think that's going to be really important. We're going to be doing a lot of cuttings. We're going to be doing a lot of cuttings because I really want to save on money. I'll save on costs. So I'm going to be doing a lot of things with cuttings during the late summer into fall and seeing what plants we can go ahead and start additional new plants, because this Swedish ivy will die in my winter. And see if we can save plants or get new plants started to save money for the spring. So y'all, stay tuned for that. So we have some beautiful purple shamrock or oxalis over here, and it's starting to put off its beautiful lavender blooms, which is looking really nice. We have some sun patience, which the camera never does them justice. They have such like a luminescent, iridescent quality to them that are just beautiful. This is another variety here. Now this plant that doesn't look so great is a Coffea, and it is not happy. It did not like being in the planter, so that's good to know for the future. And then down here, this is Perilla or Perea. It's kind of like Coleus. I treat it like Coleus. It has grown so much that it has smothered these sun patients underneath. So I am happy that I put most of my concentration of the Perea down low because I think that's been super helpful. I did have one plant up here a little bit higher, and you can see how it's grown out that way. I mean, look how long this fuchsia has gotten. This has grown out that way. I'm really glad I didn't put more of the Perea in the front, and then I only put it down low, because I think that that has made a lot of difference. Because if I had ended up putting that Perea in this middle part, it would have smothered all of the sun patients here, and perhaps would have grown up and smothered some of the fuchsia. But it's looking good, and I could definitely come in here and cut this back some and create a bushier look across the front. I'm not going to right now, but that looks good. Now, this container is all the way hooked up to drip, so it has drip on every single level, so I do not have to worry about watering it at all. It does get sun until about noon, and then after that, it's in shade all day. Okay, I did want to make sure I touched on this little area. Right here is a Virginia. I can't remember the exact variety. I'll make sure that I put it down on the screen. Kind of tucked in here. I believe Kristen gave me this Virginia. And then I've also got some Japanese anemones. I think it's like Fantasy Jasmine, I think is the name, that I transplanted from the front yard to the backyard. And this guy spreads like crazy. So I do fully expect, I don't know what this is, that's something else. Do fully expect for it to fill in. And I had transplanted some down here, which is looking good. And then one more Heuchera. I believe this is still the black pearl down here that I transplanted from the back. But I do like some of the containers here. I think it's just, everything's looking really nice. Okay, thanks for sticking with us through this tour. Jeff and I are both sick. So we are both dying outside. We are both ready to go in. But I wanted to just kind of walk through the shade garden with you because it's been a while. But the shade garden is doing beautifully. It has been my pride and joy this year. I've just really enjoyed it. It's so peaceful. I've also found that it doesn't take a lot of maintenance, which has been really fun as well. We are going to continue adding to this over the years. We're going to do a lot of propagation, a lot of starting from seed. But it is just absolutely joyful. Enjoying this space. Got to figure out something for this up here. So please drop in your ideas and thoughts. I would love to hear them. I don't want to spend a ton of money. If it's going to be a bigger project, it's probably going to have to wait until next spring. So we'll just have to figure out something to make it work during the winter. But like, see how low it's getting? I'm 5'10", so... All right, y'all, I hope you enjoyed today's tour of the shade garden. As always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Every time you like and comment, it helps grow my channel so much. And be sure to check me out on my social media outlets, including Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.